Hey, what's up? It's Jon Schnepp here. You're watching the Down the Road show. I'm introing my own panel. I did a Kickstarter panel here at Comikaze. Check it out. It was a lot of fun.
I'm going to make a short film. I need $700,000. No, nothing less than that will do. That doesn't even start to cover my rewards. That's just what I need. That's not me. So that's probably not a good plan. So what I would do is Microsoft Excel is a really cool program. It's pretty easy to learn how to use. Equals sum, brackets, number, plus other number, or equals sum, brackets, number, two little dots, number, times. So you have 4 animators times 8 weeks, $1,000 a week. How much is that? 8,000 times 4. This does it for you. You don't have to think about it. You're like, wow, I need a lot of money. So that's how we kind of came up with a budget for doing Grim Fairy Tales. We're like, how much do we need to do the backgrounds, the character designs, the layout? How many people here are interested or do animation? Yeah, so if you do animation, you understand how much work it is and how intensive it is. A lot of people don't understand animation. I'm a director of animation, and a lot of people are like, well, how do you direct animation? I always get it in this kind of slightly condescending way, like, I don't do anything, I sit on my ass. What do you mean? I just press a fucking button and you watch a cartoon, you fucking idiot. You really want me to answer that? That's how I am now, I'm damn. So enough dumb people have asked me that with that shitty attitude that I'm shitty back to them. And then I'm like, I'm just kidding. Because I have to give it to them first. Then I'm like, hey, so then I lay it out for them. Like, basically, it's like project management. It's like you're shooting a movie with actors, but it's all spread out, like over, 15. I just wanted to help complete that. Star Trek, can you take the rest of that shit off?
Yeah.
Throw it on the ground. I'll put it up later. It's not to be disrespectful to the sign of Comikaze, it's just to be disrespectful to the banner. For interrupting me and folding while I was talking. Because I direct cartoons, nothing is an inanimate object. That's laughing at me now. Anyway, so I explain the process of what a cartoon is and how you have to break it into parts, storyboards, voiceover, then that becomes the storyboards, and the voiceover is edited, becomes an animatic. You have to cut that, trim it, put special effects, sound effects, music. Then once that's okay, then you cut that up into segments, and then it's backgrounds, props, character designs, turnarounds. Then that's broken up into a separate series of other people who are gonna, hey, you're gonna take these turnaround characters and propose them out. It's called layout. Then that layout becomes assigned to different animators. You might be doing one thing, you might be doing another. So it's this intensive process, and when you're doing multiple episodes, you're starting storyboarding on one episode, you're in the middle of animation on the other, and you're in the editing room finishing with compositing on the very, so you're sometimes working on 3 or 4 episodes at the same time. So it's a lot of work. So that's animation for you guys. That's the end of this panel. I'm done. Thanks. But let's keep talking about Kickstarters, right? That's why we're here. So the first one was Grim Fairy Tales. I was kind of wanting to do like a heavy metal movie, and a friend of mine, Ben Jackenoff, was like, hey, I know these guys, and that's his real name, Ben Jackenoff. That's his name, it's not my name, but it's his real name. He's a good friend of mine. He runs Comic Book Sunday, look it up, it's on YouTubes and Facebooks, things like that. It's a comic book place thing that happens, that you get good free comics at. I can't explain all of it. So anyway, I met the Zenescope guys, and how many people here like comic books? Raise your hand. Okay. And how many of those comic book people have seen the Zenescope Grim Fairy Tales line? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you guys read them? All right, less. Okay, like 3 people. All right. Well, I was in that group. I didn't read it. They're sort of they fall into the variant comic covers with ladies who are in lingerie. So I was like, well, you know, that's not really my thing. I like comics like Ed Brubaker's Criminal, or I might read an Alan Moore Swamp Thing, or I might, kind of, I'm smart. So anyway, that was my kind of attitude about that comic book company, but my friend Ben was like, no, you got to read some of the comics. You should check them out. They're really well written. So I was like, all right. Well, I met the guys, and they were nice, and I read their trade paperbacks. They gave me a bunch of them, and I thought they were really well written. So it changed my mind. Sure, they're titty comics. They are. That's how they sell their brand, is women in lingerie giggling in front of some shower or something. But the inside is like, hey, there's Snow White. She's got some issues or whatever. But it's really, obviously Snow White's not Grim Fairy Tales. But it's the Grim Fairy Tales retold in this like kind of a horror story way. At least the first like 24 issues are just like that. And I kind of been locked in with what I wanted to do, which was like take different artists, like take Eric Powell from The Goon, and take Bill Sienkiewicz from Electra Assassin, and take some of these newer fun artists who are friends of mine, like Alex Pardee and Skinner, and throw them all together and have different styles happen in an animated form, and use Grim Fairy Tales to tell it. So that's kind of how my angle was coming at their property. I was like, that's what I want to do with your property. So that's what we raised the money to do. And that's what we did. So we finished it, we made all the Blu-rays and DVDs, and that first Kickstarter that I ran, basically I was the face of it. It was run through the Pennsylvania company. So those are the people who were in charge of like delivering their comics and delivering the DVDs and Blu-rays. So if you're gonna run a Kickstarter, my first suggestion would be to run it yourself. And if you're gonna run it, my second suggestion would be to incorporate as a company and get a federal ID number. Because if you're gonna run it as Bobby Chumstain, guess who's gonna take half that money later? The government. They're gonna tax you for it. But if you run it as a company, then you're gonna be able to write things off like a real company does. So it might cost you a little bit extra money to start a real company. It's gonna cost you about $3,000 to get all the proper numbers, a federal ID number, to incorporate, you gotta pay California taxes, all that fun stuff. But ultimately it's worth it, so start saving to do that if that's your thing. Don't just like rush through and like, I'm gonna do this. Think it through, because ultimately you save money later if you spend money now. So that's those two things just about launching your Kickstarter. So this stuff is done. Let me get this over to you so you can start watching it and I can shut up. Or I could keep talking. You guys want me to keep?
I'm having a blast. Keep talking.
All right, I'll keep talking. So, the first clip that he's going to play is pretty crunchy because I didn't save any of the videos. I made them and then we sent them off and they went online. So they're archived on Kickstarter, but I just copied them so you can check them out. So this first one is like kind of small and crunchy. It's just labeled Grim Kickstarter. It's from March 2012. So long ago. Isn't it weird this year's almost over, guys? Where did it go? It's almost gone. I don't want to say 2014. Isn't it weird to write 2013?
Yeah.
Like we're in the fucking future, man. It's like Blade Runner's 2019. I'm gonna start crying. And isn't Terminator 2019 too? We're fucked. Nexus 6 and the T800 or whatever it's called together. Guys, we're gonna watch this now, right? Do you want me to dim the lights, or do you want the lights to? Humans of Earth. Sorry. You don't have to follow me, all right? Okay. Human. Earthlings? What? No, wait. What should I say? Peoples. Okay. What Zenescope Entertainment's Grim Fairy Tales is the ultimate battle between good and evil. There's a lot of other Grim Fairy Tale properties right now. There's a TV series, but no one's doing an animated series, and no one's doing it the way Zenescope has written their Grim Fairy Tales comic books.
Okay, I think I didn't say that right. Fuck. All right, do it again, do it again.
Won't that guy ever shut up? So most of those rewards have shipped out, but I still haven't, like 7 people bought the grilled cheese and tomato soup tour. So I still have to do that. But luckily, like 5 of them live in California. I think 2 of them are, because it's like, your travel is not included. So you're gonna have to fucking drive from Seattle or some shit. I have to be like an email, hey, when are you gonna come on down here? But I make a good grilled cheese. And so yes, that was our first Kickstarter. And as you can see, the sales techniques are there. You know, it's sort of like whatever you're gonna do in whatever form of media that you're gonna do on Kickstarter. Like I'm not saying all of you guys are gonna do animated cartoons or live action, anything. Some of you could be making books, art pieces. I mean, I'll open it up and ask you guys questions because I'm interested to see what a lot of you guys want to be making. But so once we did that, it's kind of a full-time job doing a Kickstarter. You don't really realize that until you hit the launch button, and then you're like, oh man, I have to do updates and keep people. Like at this point, we had a few actors and actresses locked down to be voiceover actors, but obviously you saw we didn't announce anybody yet because we were like, hey, we're gonna just announce them over the course of several weeks as we run the campaign. So we did that, but I found that it's probably not a good idea to do that because we had Lena Headey from Game of Thrones, and we were really excited. She's friends with Ben, so that's how it happened. It wasn't like we even negotiated some shit. It was like, yo, ask her if she'll do it. Okay, she'll do it. It was fun like that. That's the fun part of living in Hollywood and already working in television is you meet all these super talented people. And then if you have something cool that you want to work on, sometimes you're like, yeah, I'll just work on that cool thing. Of course you pay them, but you know, it's like kind of like you don't have to go through all these crazy steps. So Lena Headey was announced, I think it was the same day they renewed Game of Thrones season 3. And we were like, yeah, that's gonna be real big. And it didn't really affect the Kickstarter. I mean, our money didn't jump crazy style. So what it really is you have to make a really good first video, you know? And making a video is really important. I mean, I can't stress that enough. I've contributed to, hang on guys, I got a phone call.
Speaker.
Speakerphone.
Hi Holly, I'm in the middle of a panel. What's going on? I'm in room 308 AB. Okay. I see my girlfriend walk in. So everyone crane around and look at her. All right, so let's play. All right, well let me get we play the Grim Bag. So we were about halfway through. We were doing a 45-day run. We were about halfway through, and we weren't even halfway there yet. We were we started off good. We launched it at, if you're gonna do stuff comic book based, you guys are all here. Obviously, most of you are nerds. I'm a fucking nerd too, what's up? So it's probably good to launch it around a comic book convention, you know, at the beginning of one or the end of another one. You know, we're wrapping up at the WonderCon, you know? So just to get the awareness out there. I'll get more into talking to websites and stuff, but that's stuff that I learned later. That's for this we were like, man, how are we gonna get people to know about this thing, you know? It's well maybe some of the rewards were confusing. And if you look, you can go online and type in Grim Fairy Tales, because that's the cool thing about all these, they never go away. So you can just look it up, oh, look at all those, there's 70 rewards. So it's a little overwhelming. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, I don't get it. There's 400 variant covers of this, and for me, I'm not a big variant guy, so I just don't even, once in a while, if there's a cool, oh, that's a cool, weird cover, I'll buy it, but I don't collect variants. So it's that was kind of weird for me. I didn't understand, why are there 70 different things, and I felt it was confusing, so I was like, hey, look, there's Holly.
Yeah!
And so that was I said, I was let's come up with something that just cuts through all of the rewards, that's really simple, that gives somebody who might be wanting to contribute but is confused by the 700 different variant covers and the weird little creepy things that come with them. I was what about just something simple that's called something dumb, like the Grim Bag. So let's play that, the Grim Bag.
All right, wait. Cut, let's try that one more time.
Let's run the asylum. Sprinkle. Grim Bag. Grim bag? What kind of flavor is that? It's called Grim bag, son. Grim bag. We're attacking with the Grim bag. Yo, I don't even understand this shit anymore. It's crazy. No smile. So we had a lot of fun making that. That was Ben Jackendoff, the guy who was talking with the beard. The other guy is a friend of ours, Chris. But so yeah, we put that together, and that kind of just like it's showing we're having a lot of fun. And you know, here's a $98 thing. Why don't you throw some money in? That was basically the gist of it, and we sold like 130 of them or something, which was great. It really helped push through. We broke over 100, and it's like a lot of Kickstarter is perception. I know, like nowadays, a lot of people are obsessed with box office. Man, I heard Gravity made $50 million. That's really cool, but whatever, Uncle Grandpa beat it. And then you realize, who cares? What do you own stock in this shit? Why are you talking about it? Was the movie good? That's all that really matters. But people forget about that because for some reason, which we won't get into because that's so deep and weird, we're obsessed with numbers, you know, and I get it, but most of you guys get it here because, like, what issue did the Wolverine appear in? What was his first appearance? Who knows it?
181.
And yeah, it's like, it's in your mind. 181, a whole bunch of people said it. It's like, you don't even have to say that it was the fucking Hulk. All of us know that shit. You just had to say 181 because we're like stat monsters, you know? So you have all this information in your head. So now our society is kind of information based. You know, this one guy just started bouncing off like, hey, I'm gonna announce how much VOD money we make, you know, and a lot of other people were like kind of pissed about it, but I'm like, hey, bring it, because everybody seems to be obsessed with like what's number one at the box office. Well, what's more important now is what's number one digitally. No one wants to really admit that, but that's what's going to be the most important thing. So it's nice to see people finally starting to release that information, which also allows the freedom of money to be there, because you're like, oh, that shit did make money, and you can't hide it. So it's a lot of interesting numbers games that always happens in media. So I lost my train of thought because I got into this weird video stuff. What was I talking about?
Everything's going online.
Kickstarter.
Oh, perception, thanks. Yeah, I got really deep with Wolverine number 181. Herb Trimpe, guys. Herb Trimpe.
Yeah.
Herb Trimpe. So perception is the key. Like, if you're gonna try to raise $10,000 and I'm doing a 5-day Kickstarter, you're insane. But just say you did that. I'm just doing a 5-day Kickstarter. And day 2.5, you couldn't even possibly have told even half of your family members. Mom, I'm doing it's over. Yeah. Well, if you should have just told me. I tried calling you. You didn't answer. It's not me, but my parents did not contribute to any of my Kickstarters. I mean, hey, I'm lucky that my dad uses the internet, or unlucky. I like emails all my friends too, like, hey, the stocks, and like talks about crazy shit. So anyway, I'm glad he's got email now, because I used to get a lot of handwritten letters, like 2 a week, guys. It's not even Kickstarter anymore now, it's been personal shit. So perception, you have 2.5 days, trying to raise 10 grand, and you're only at $3,000. You're like, what the fuck, I'm never gonna make it. You have to, by the halfway point, you have to be at least more than halfway there. So that's the struggle and the fight to like, trying to raise 188,000, we were at like 70. And everyone was like, looks like you're not gonna do it, dude. We started getting emails from like people named Cricket and Krampus and like weird stuff like, dude, looks like unless you raise $3,200 every day for the next 32 days. Thanks for that info. I really don't need you to tell me that, Krankus or whatever your name is. Because don't you think I figured that out? But thank you for posting it, jerk. So that's what you end up getting. Unfortunately, you're going to get that. Some idiot just contributes $1 and then starts telling you what you should do. So, usually I don't even answer them. I'm like, that's cool. Because, it's nice. Sometimes a lot of people are helpful, actually, and say stuff that's cool. Like, oh, that's a good idea. But, those are the ones that make you laugh. You're like, thanks a lot. Yeah, 3,200 a day. That's cool. We'll try to do that. But luckily we are able to get a couple of bigger, like some guys who run comic book shows bought the $10,000 ones. We sold a $10,000 voiceover, which was great. The guy was just like, yeah, I want my likeness in there, and I want to say some shit. Here's 10 grand. And then we couldn't find him. We got his money. We're like, yo, dude, can I get a picture of you? It's not like this big. It's like a JPEG with like 7 dots. Like it was a dot matrix picture of him. And it looked like, what's that, Ed Grimley. He had a fucking little spiky alfalfa. I was like, what are you? You're a dude, at least, I think, from this fucking polka dot thing. What? Give me a photo, dude. We finally found him. He was like in Peru. He's just some rich guy. He's like, I was involved in computers. I don't want to know. Whatever, thank you. Where's the photo? So we got the photo, and then it was also had to get him in voiceover. So this is an interesting thing with voiceover. I mean, I don't know if I'll open up to you guys because I want to see what else you guys are doing, but. For voiceover, if you're using voiceover stuff, it's like, man, like some of the people, they paid money, but they'd never done a voiceover before in their life, and they were awesome. And then some of the people who paid money had trained as voiceover actors, and it was the longest hour and a half of my life to get 3 lines. But I got them because I'm a good director. So I was able to just like, whether or not it's frustrating or not, sometimes if you're doing something and someone's helped you, it's your job then to make sure that you help them. So that was, for me, I was like, hey, stop using a Shakespearean accent, dude. Just stop right now. Remember I told you four times ago, don't put an accent, just use your regular voice. It's that kind of thing. Because people get nervous, that's such incredible detail that you guys don't need to know about, but I thought I'd share it. Let's move on so I did that, and I spent 9 months directing it and editing it, and then we finished it, and then another couple months doing all the behind the scenes edits and things like that. And I didn't put myself into that budget. I was like, I didn't think about it, and I ended up like using a lot of my savings from working on Metalocalypse and other shows. And slowly became kind of close to being broke. And I was like, this is not cool. So, anyway, ended up getting other jobs, making more money. But I was like, the next time I do a Kickstarter, I'm gonna make sure I put myself in there. Like, hey, I'm producing this and directing it. I'm the dude making it. So when I ran my Kickstarter for Superman this past January, I did The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened. I don't know if anybody here contributed to that. Anybody? Oh, thanks. Well, thank you guys. That process is going on right now. Originally I wrote, hey, I'll have it done in December 2013. I was stupid. I've never done a documentary before. It takes a long time to actually get interviews with famous people. I didn't really think about that. I was like, yeah, I'll just talk to him. Well, you won't. Guess what? You won't. And even if you do talk to them, you're gonna have to wait till their schedule's cleared. So like that could be 6 months. So I've talked to a bunch of them, which is the good news. But I'm not gonna announce it till I've actually filmed them and had the signature and like, it's in the can. So that's where I'm kind of at. What was that music? I was saying like Barry White or some shit.
That was like a little clip of Superman.
Yeah? Okay, oh, that was Superman. Hey man, that guy must have seen that thing before. Let's rock that Superman thing.
Kickstarter panel, Starter panel. Bobby Crimflintz can't make it. Where's he? Shriggles.
All right, so
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun because I found out that a lot of people had the same kind of weirdo obsession that I had, like that were interested in it. So they got funded. Didn't make all the stretch goals, but it made a little bit over. So I am doing a few recreations, like with some interesting stuff in there. And I just finished interviewing Steve Johnson, and we got Wesley Strick, and a bunch of the names that are up there we've talked to. So it's been a lot of fun. And there is so much more artwork that isn't online that people have sent me. Like people from, I don't want to get anyone in trouble, so people have sent me things. And be like, dude, have you seen this?
No.
What? Mind blown, crying, melted in a corner, crying. And then, no, it's for you. And then your guys, or whatever. It's gonna be weird. But yeah, some really. It's kind of cool too. Like this. like I'm sure there's a lot of executives aren't very happy about like, well, we don't want the curtain. It's like some Wizard of Oz shit. Don't pull that curtain. Suck it. I'm pulling that curtain. Because why not? It's a creative process. It's 15 years ago. I think it's worth looking at. And some of the creative process is just straight up wrong. It's really off base. Like, you know, I'm gonna save it. I keep wanting to give shit away. I'm not gonna spoil some of the most fun stuff. But some of the images that I saw that they were arguing about before the plug got pulled was basically like crazy style stuff where you'd be like, I know, but Superman would never, like not even like in an alternate Elseworlds universe, do that or look like that. So it was like, anyway, it's very interesting. So getting to it. So anyway, I've been working on that, and I just did a couple other jobs. I don't know if you guys like Hail to the King, the Avenged Sevenfold metal band, but I just did a cartoon for those guys. That has nothing to do with Kickstarter, I'm just plugging it. And it's a fucking plug, son. But here's the one that I just launched this morning. So let's play the Unicron one. So this is my newest Kickstarter that's active now, today. So you can check it out.
Where's Triggles? He's gone? Yeah, Triggles is gone. All right, well, fuck it. Let's just do it without him. All right.
All right, so I'm going to say enough about me. So I just launched that today, and that's something that I've wanted to do. And like I said in that video, I think Kickstarter is the ultimate equalizer. Because say you, for me, I've done a lot of pilots. I've done television shows that you'll never see, and I spent like 8 months working on them. And I don't want to do that anymore because I feel like I'm wasting my life. Like people be like, what have you been up to? Oh, just stuff you'll never fucking see. What's up? And then the other thing that I don't like doing is pitching ideas to anybody. Because I'm kind of cocky, and I think I like my ideas quite fine because I've thought about them enough that I think if I like them, then other nerds are going to like them because I'm fucking smart. So, or they're not going to like them and I'm retarded. So it's one of those two things. I don't, retarded isn't stupid, like not retarded isn't a person who's born retarded. Right, guys?
Yeah.
But so, just wanted to clarify that. Because, I'm kind of sensitive. So, that's my thing now. I'm like, sort of like, it's okay if, like, I launched this today, and if it fails, I'm okay with that, because that means nobody wanted to see Unicron the Unicorn Barbarian. And I didn't waste my time making it. Like, imagine if some studio was like, dude, we're like 186% into Unicron. Here's, like, monies when you can fucking make it. And then we're gonna do stuff with it, like show it to children. Or whatever, we market research stuff that you're not part of, and then we're not gonna do anything with it, it's gone forever and dead. Then no one's gonna get to see it. But I just made it. I know it's weird like that, isn't it? Goodbye. So that's what happened. So that's the reality of it in the world of fun and entertainment, where everybody buys toys and shit, and comics. And so that's what my whole attitude now is for myself as a professional. I'm like, hey, I'm cool with throwing it out to everybody online, and if they want to help me make it, I'm making it, and if they don't, that's cool. I'm going to make other stuff. So that's my universe right now. It's going to be Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and independent film, independent television. Because I've done professional television now for 15 years. I'm cool with it. It's always going to be around, and I'm still going to work in it. I'll still get hired all the time. But I'm going to just divvy up my time with doing stuff I want to do that's more creatively fulfilling. And I think it's more fulfilling for you guys, because it's going to be just unfiltered. So that's the other creative freedom of Kickstarter that I would like all of you guys to embrace if you haven't started a Kickstarter yet, is to unlock your own creative freedom and realize that when you're doing your Kickstarter, it's all on you, 100% of it. The good thing about it is if you raise enough money that you can have friends help you, like get someone to produce with you, like get someone to help you, do line items. Get someone to help you get interviews if you're doing interviews. So I've surrounded myself, like I've got a great friend who's a DP, he's helping me. I've got a whole bunch of different friends who've helped me. And I've also got a lot of voice talent actors and actresses who I've worked with over the years who are into working with me. So it's fun that we can all work on stuff together. So that's my whole trip, and that's what I'm doing. I'd love to hear anyone who wants to talk on the mic. I'm going to open it up to like a few questions, but maybe you don't have to get up because it's a small room. So starting from over in this area, hi. Somebody just walked in. You don't have to turn around, sorry about that. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, how do you use social media to get the word out once you start?
Thank you for asking. That's a great question. I got big beefs with social media and Kickstarter or any kind of please help me things. Like, this is what I do, and I think it's kind of a nice way to do it. I'll post it on my page. Like, I'll tweet it on my Twitter, or I'll post it on my Facebook, and I'll say, hey, all my friends, if you dig this project, please repost it on your wall. I never like post stuff on other people's walls, whether it's something I'm doing, like I'm going to a concert tonight on somebody else's wall, or hey, here's my Kickstarter. I just think it's kind of rude. So that's me, and so that's the way I would suggest spreading the news, is ask your friends to help you by, a lot of your friends will be like, dude, I don't have money. It's like, it's totally cool. If you repost this on your page and tell other people about it, that's better than money. That's helping out 1,000 times better than $10. Seriously, it's about spreading the news. So social media, is that 1 minute left?
Yes, sir.
What time is it?
It's almost 4.
Wow, dude, that's craziness. I don't know if I set my clock right. Okay. I'll need a minute and a half. Okay. I was joking. So yeah, social media, be polite, and ask your friends for help. And that's totally the way I've done both of these Kickstarters, you know? I mean, that's how most of the people have done all these Kickstarters, and the ones that are successful. The second tier of that is also talk to websites that are doing things that directly relate to what you're doing. So if you're trying to make your own comic book, or if you're trying to publish your own book, go to site-specific websites that are genre-specific. I'm trying to write a Western. Well, go to that Western website that doesn't exist. So I don't know where it is. Yeah, that Lone Ranger movie, whatever. I don't know where you go, because I'm not, I like Western movies, though. You guys ever seen Once Upon a Time in America?
Yeah.
Pretty good. Charles Bronson. So let's open it up to questions. Anybody have questions?
How much do you need to have completed before you launch a Kickstarter?
Okay, that's a great question. Like, I didn't have anything completed, obviously, for the Grimm Fairy Tales. So that was nothing. It was just like, hey, we want to do this. For the Superman Lives, I just collected a bunch of artwork on my own for 15 years and then just filmed myself talking about it and slapped the artwork on top. For Unicron, I had actually made a sizzle reel and created a lot of the characters. So I had all this footage that I'd made, and then I made it like 2 years ago, and I've been wanting to make this cartoon. So finally I was like, I'm just gonna try to make it. So that's what I did. I just cut together some of the characters, and I have a script I'm working on. So that's kind of how that part happened. So it depends, like on how much you've got done. That's as much as you can show. But the main thing is to get the idea across to the people who are trying to help you. Yeah. Yeah.
So, you're standing in the Kickstarter industry, like you've been working for years in the entertainment industry,
Yeah.
which is great, and like actually working it too. But what do you recommend to people who are starting with dirt? Just nothing.
Starting from nothing, exactly the same thing. Like, you might not get like some of the voice talent or some of the certain things that I have that I just because I know people, but you can do the same exact thing that I've done. I mean, it doesn't matter at what level you're at, as long as your idea is cool and you're talking to the people who want to see it. That's the most important thing. Like, you always forget, like, out of the world of, say America, only 5% of these 100% that are going to be into going to Comikaze, and only 5% of that 5% are going to buy stuff. So you have to think about that. It's the 5% theory. You want to get out of the 100% of people who come and look at your Kickstarter, only 5% of those people are going to maybe even put in $1. Some people might put in $1,000, but it's a small percentage of people. So you want to market it towards people who would dig what you want to do. Like, I want to make something about liquids. All right, I don't know what to tell you. No, but it's purple liquids. Well, go to the purple liquid place and make sure that they know that you're trying to make it. that's very vague. Yeah.
Are there any concerns if you haven't patented it or you don't have a spin?
No, nothing at all. I mean, that's the biggest thing I always hear is people are worried about like getting ripped off or I need to copyright this shit. That shit doesn't matter. I mean, people get ripped off all the time in Hollywood, and then there's lawsuits. So just get into a lawsuit. Yeah, don't worry about it. That's what I would say. Oscar.
Mr. Schnepp, can you take one last question and then
Yes,
we
sir.
can move forward?
Oscar's told me I gotta go. One last question.
One last question, not my question, because I'll ask you something inappropriate.
Yes.
Do you have any advice for anybody who's done a Kickstarter before and failed and we're trying to gain back that fan base that we had?
Yes. The advice for if you've done a Kickstarter, and I've contributed to a lot of people's Kickstarters that didn't make it, and I've also seen people who's like, hey, I did this Kickstarter and I didn't make it, and they don't try again. Definitely try again. It's like riding a bike. Just don't go off a cliff. What you want to do is like, what failed about your Kickstarter? Look at it like, okay, say you didn't do a few of the things like go through social media the right way, ask all your friends to help spread the word. You got to also, the one thing about social media, I'll add that too, is like, do it once a week. Like pick Thursday, and then just post on your Twitter, post on your Facebook, slap an Instagram up there, but just once a week, because otherwise your friends are gonna be like, I know, dude, I know, you're trying to blah, blah, blah. They're gonna get tired of it. But once a week is not overbearing. So.
Thank you guys so much.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Go check out Unicron, the Unicorn Barbarian. It's on Kickstarter.
Hey, thanks so much for watching that. That was my Kickstarter panel here at Comikaze, November 3rd on Sunday. It was a blast being here. I'll see you guys next year in person. Hopefully you should come down. Bam! You're watching Down the Road Show.